You're listening to the Wife Wednesday Radio Network. Find, follow, and like us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and more. You can hear us across the U.S. and around the world on Apple Podcasts, Pandora, iHeartRadio, Amazon Podcasts, Spotify, and more. Now, here are your favorite radio wives.
Hey everybody, it's Wednesday and I'm one of your wives, Sina.
And I'm Nicole.
We're back with a whole new season of the Wife Wednesday show, and you can now find us on every major podcast platform across the country.
That's right. So sit back, relax, and join us for this week's episode here on the Wife Wednesday Radio Network. All right. Okay, so back to the week. We have in 1998, President Clinton admitted to having an inappropriate relationship with an intern, Monica Lewinsky. I got real excited about this when I found it, and Cena was like, what's happening? Mainly because we were watching Woodstock 99 on HBO last night, and it was just like, it was basically Boob City.
I'm sure it was.
It was a lot. Like, it was worse than Woodstock. Because they did one in 94 and then they did one in 99.
Yeah.
Apparently they were trying to make it a every 5 year thing. And, you know, I think 99 stopped it. I don't know, but I fell asleep in the middle of it.
Too many tits and ass.
Too many tits and ass. And then in 2008, American swimmer Michael Phelps became the first person to win 8 gold medals in one Olympic game.
Listen, that
And
was
then
the only time I ever cared. Like
Dude,
that. I
yes.
watched it every
I literally
single
remember
time with Michael
yes.
Phelps. I was like, let's go!
Literally, yeah, because it was like I was going into senior year of high school, and like that was everything to me.
Yeah,
watched.
It was so cool. And I think it's just because it was so relevant, and obviously it was a world record.
Yeah.
And like for me, swimming's always been my sport. Not that I ever competed, but I've always done swimming. And I'm just like, yeah, let's go. I could understand, like I understood it.
Yes.
And then just seeing this guy do it, it was insane. It was just
Agreed.
insane.
Also, then like years later, he got popped for
Marijuana. Oh my
at the
gosh.
Olympics.
Yeah.
Like 4 years later, I was like, come on. I'm trying a new thing this week where I'm not like making out with my microphone. So if I get too close, remind me somehow.
Okay. I'll be like, get the screen out of your nostril.
Yeah. I just like doing that. I don't know why.
It's because you need a nose piercing. It'll help.
I do. Literally, I was thinking about this the last few days. I'm like, if I went to a tattoo shop, I literally would have no control in getting a bull ring at all. I would have no control.
If I could have it at work, I would. I used to hate them. I love them now.
Yeah.
Or I hated them because of the pressure of what everyone else. They're like, you look like a bull. And I'm like, yeah, that's
and now you don't care about anyone else's opinion.
I really don't.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Yeah.
And then we have a banger of the week this week. It is from 2002, Nelly featuring Kelly Rowland's Dilemma. And we kind of rocked out to it while we were playing our episode.
Nothing makes me want to start gyrating and pretending I know how to dance more than that.
Literally, Nelly, give me some Ludacris, some T-Pain,
Luda,
some Lil Wayne, Lil Jon. Give it all. All right. Hi, welcome. Things have happened since we last spoke. Let's talk about them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you want to go first?
Sure. So,
ladies first.
If you don't know, I have a child who's going into kindergarten. And we went school shopping, like half of the school shopping. It was like the supplies and like napkins, paper towel rolls, whatever. Go ahead.
When did it turn into the parents have to buy the supplies for the school?
Listen,
when did that happen? This
is how I see it. They have my child for an extended amount of time during the day where I don't have to worry about him.
Yes.
So I will give them anything they want. So I don't question it anymore. But
I question
It's
it
been like
because
that
our
since-
Ohio lottery is supposed to go to funding the schools.
yeah.
So I
Mhm.
know how much fucking money the
But
lottery
they fund
is making.
like remodels and things. They don't fund giving them
Supplies.
like all teachers buy their own supplies.
I think that's insane.
Mostly.
I think that's insane.
Mm-hmm.
It should all be provided. At least
like
in
there should be
public
a
schools.
card.
Yeah, they should have
Kind
a
of thing.
card.
Mhm,
Yeah.
I agree. But along with that, I've also been organizing things like for him to make life easier because he's going to be riding the bus. Like he lives less than a mile away from school, but he's 5, and I'm a full-time working mother, and so is my husband. So in the mornings, I will take Silas to the babysitter, and Josh will be putting him on the bus and getting him off of the bus. So I'm trying to make basically my life easier because my husband has grown since I married him as a person, father, husband, everything. But I just like to make sure he has everything he needs to succeed
You know,
at those jobs.
a couple weeks ago, I sent you a TikTok, and it just flashed in my head.
Yeah.
And it says, I used to think I liked cooking, but what I really like is control.
Yeah, that's totally me. It
I
is.
figured
I
applicable.
literally have all control in the kitchen unless I know that if Cena's in there and she's doing something, I have to ask. And I know you don't care if I take over because you're just used to me taking over. But I know that there's issues with people taking over things that you're doing that you have a problem with. So I kind of try to ask. I'm like, hey, can I stir this? Like if you walk away, like just because I want to stir it.
Cena, you're going to forget about it. It's out of your line of sight.
But I'm creating a breakfast menu where it's like a picture of his food, and I said like he'll circle 2 things at the very least that he wants for breakfast that morning, so then Josh can do that for him. So I'm gonna have that, and then I have like a snack menu that he can choose like 2 snacks and a drink, because the snacking after they get home is like Josh just gives them what they want and then they don't eat dinner, which is whatever. I'm just happy that they're eating, but I want there to be more discipline in when they eat, because my children literally are Vikings. They just eat when they're hungry, and that's
because
fine.
you birthed linebackers.
Well, yes, but this is the thing. I fully support the eat when you're hungry. I'm not going to force you to eat.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to make you try something. Like he tried meatloaf when I made it last week or so, and he liked it. I'm like, see? Mommy only asks for you to try something, and if you don't like it, I'm not going to force it down your throat.
No,
That's not what I do.
no.
And we were sitting in the car yesterday as we were shopping. We stopped and got the seasoned potatoes from Wendy's because he likes those.
Mm-hmm.
He's found out he likes a lot of different French fries. I'm like, you know how French fries are just potatoes? He's like, yeah, they're just potatoes. Because he had one that literally looked like it was a potato, like cut in half, like sliced.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know how mommy makes mashed potatoes and you don't like them? He's like, yeah. I'm like, you know that's just a French fry mashed up. He's like, oh. I'm like, so maybe mommy can make mashed potatoes and you can try mashed potatoes. Yeah, I'll probably like that. I'm like, yeah, probably. So it's just about explaining food to your children, you know?
Yeah, so that way they understand what it is.
Yes. And then he told me he likes sour cream with French fries. I'm like, what? He's like, I had these with sour cream. I'm like, do you mean ranch? He's like, I don't think so. I think it was sour cream at Lynn's. I'm like, okay, well, we can try different stuff. Like, you want to try ketchup? I know a lot of different little kids that love ketchup. And, like, he wants to try ketchup. I'm like, we've reached a stage where he wants to try different things. Because my children don't like any dips. Okay? I know.
Are you sure they're yours?
Literally, I have tried since the day that they could eat foods. Has never liked ketchup or ranch. Nothing little kids like. And I'm like, it's fine. I'm not going to force you to have dips.
I could literally
but you're
lay
missing
on
out
my
on
back
a lot of life.
and let people squirt those in my mouth.
Yes.
It would be fine.
Yes. And it's just, yeah. Kids are just like,
Everything's
sponges. You just have to
new.
talk to them about it,
Yeah.
and they will absorb it.
Everything is new to them.
Yeah.
I love that.
And it's just like, it makes me happy as a mom because he's just like figuring things out. And like before he was having a rough time, I've mentioned it probably in a podcast before, how he was having a rough time at the babysitters. He was getting put in timeout and stuff. And he's been so much better. Like, we've changed a few things at the house, and it's just, he is just better.
growing.
Yeah. So that's that for school for now. We have a very busy week with school things and getting ready for it, prepping. Because we got like 2 weeks, man.
I know.
We've got hair appointments this week on Monday. Dentist
Bless.
appointments on Tuesday. Wednesday is already my busy day because I don't have a babysitter that day. Like, at least my normal babysitter. Thursday, we have literally the open house for kindergarten and... Sorry, I had a brain fart. And...
I know, I can smell it. No.
Jeez. Oh, back to school bash, whatever. But this week I also get my sign that says I have a brand new Red Rider or whatever lives here. And yeah. So I'm excited. I'm also excited to just not be stressed about it.
Yeah. One less thing off the plate.
Yeah. That helps a lot. How have you been?
Well, first of all, last week I had the flu randomly.
Yeah.
I woke up one
Like
morning,
a stomach bug.
and I literally showered and got ready for work, and I went to go brush my teeth, and I'm like, I always get this tickly feeling under my tongue and into my jaw, and I'm
Okay.
like, oh no, I'm gonna puke. I'm like, oh no, and then of course I did. And the weirdest thing was that I was puking at my lunch from the day before.
Yeah, which is very odd.
It was very odd.
What was it?
Chipotle.
Mm.
And so I thought it was food poisoning
Yeah.
originally. But I ran a fever. I called off work. I went back to bed. I slept for like 5 hours straight.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next morning, Andrew wakes up puking. And I get ready. I actually go to work, which apparently I shouldn't have. It has to be 48 hours after a flu or after a fever.
That's because we used to work in a toxic environment.
Yeah. And
where if you were sick, you got punished for it.
Yeah. And I mean, I went in for about an hour. And then I'm like, I kept just like, I was sitting there and I would just break out in sweat.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't think I feel good still. And I was like, my head was heavy. And I went in the back and we have this like thermometer. It's like a no-touch one.
Yes.
And I can't get it to work. Amber comes back. It works on her. She's trying it on me. And then I went and got my manager.
You're just a magical being.
Yeah, literally went and got my manager, and she's trying it, and she can't get anything. She even tried it on my arm, and I'm like, am I dead? And then she finally got it, and I had a 96-degree temperature.
And this is the thing, people. Cena and I already run low temperatures, like 97 area. So for her to be even lower, it's kind of...
I was like, I don't feel good.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm going home. I'm sorry. Kind of thing. I felt so guilty, but I'm like, I have to go home. I can't be here. I don't feel good.
You're not going to get good or get better if you stay at work sick. Like, it's just going to make things worse.
Yeah. And like, as I was leaving, I'm like, Cheryl, Amber, I don't care if you Lysol the hell out of everything. I'm like, it does not offend me. And in fact, that's a great idea. And Cheryl's like, oh, honey, I already Lysoled your area.
Yes.
And she's like, well, I'm going to do it again.
Well, especially because I told you, I was like, you need to take a COVID test because symptoms are just so different now.
They are. And I did take one.
Know.
Did I tell you that?
Yes, you said you did not,
negative.
And you're going back to work.
Yeah.
The next day.
But yeah, I was definitely randomly stomach bug sick. And it's like I only threw up the once.
Yeah.
But I felt kind of queasy, like with food
Yeah.
after that.
How was work?
I had to get my notes closer. Hold on.
Thought she didn't need her glasses.
Thought I didn't need my glasses. Okay. I found my sweet spot though. The first thing I'm going to talk about, the nice thing.
Yeah.
So my favorite customer comes in, right? We all know him, love him, whatever.
Are we sure? Is that the one we're talking about, or is it the actual guy we like?
No, it's my actual favorite
Okay.
customer. I decided to switch my order on my notes. He's just chit-chatting with me as always, and I am looking at my work screen because I'm reading something, and I'm this person has multiple accounts, and so I'm like just like giving them a summary kind of thing, and I'm just like reading, and he is on the other side of my divider with his hand propped on his head, and he's just kind of smiling and staring at me, and I look at him, I'm like, what? Because like see this person every single day,
Yes.
will give him attitude, don't care. I'm like,
Yeah.
what? And he's like, I just like watching people read. He's like, it's kind of nice. And I'm like, okay. And it was just kind of a sweet moment. He just sat there and watched me do my thing.
Yeah.
Didn't say anything.
You know how you could watch someone, or someone could watch you and you don't even know it, and you're just like doing your thing, working, you're just thinking about what you need to
Yeah.
do. Like you're not saying a word, making a noise. Like I look at people and I'm like, what are they thinking? Like watching them doing a task and everything.
Yeah.
Like I really like wonder what's going through their brain, because I know what would be going through mine.
Yeah. Like, what's your thought process?
Yeah.
Like, do you only think in words? Do you,
Do you
think,
think
in
in-
images?
Do you think in ADHD?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's just like, I don't know. It just made me it wasn't creepy to me. And I think it's because obviously I have a friendship with this person.
Yes.
And he just had the most like tender, soft look on his face. Like he's just sitting there waiting.
Yeah.
And I understand like what he means, because like I love watching people's eyes
Yes.
when they're reading something. And I was scanning. So he must have just been watching my eyes go like,
Yeah.
and it was just like a sweet moment. And well, anyways, I just adore him.
Yeah.
But to counter that,
Because with good comes bad.
with good comes bad. This other customer comes in, and he's like a weird, lonely old man. Like,
Yeah.
I get that, whatever. And he would always call me his girl. There's my girl. And I'm like, I'm not your girl.
Skeezy.
I'm like, ugh. And the other guy I just mentioned beforehand, if he called me his girl, I'd be like,
Yes.
you know.
Yes.
But so he comes in and he's doing this transaction, and he goes, hey, and I'm like, what? And he's like, are you pregnant? And I'm like, no.
That's not okay to ask literally
Anyone ever.
ever.
And he's like, oh, it's okay, okay. And he's like,
I still like you.
I still like you. He kept saying that, which was really weird.
Yes.
And I'm like, well, I'm definitely not pregnant. And then he goes, okay, well, you look bigger than the last time I saw you. The fucking audacity. And at this
Yes.
point, my manager's in her office right behind me. And then one of the other guys, we had a float teller.
Yeah.
Alan is working just a few spaces down. And I'm mortified. Like, I'm so embarrassed at this point. Like, I'm like, what makes you think that's okay to say to me? So I'm self-conscious. And he's like, oh, but it's okay. I still like you. I still like you.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to rush through this transaction. And he's talking to me, and he's like, Cheryl, your boss got me, a pizza the other day from this place. And he's like, do you like pizza? And I'm like, yeah. Like, who the fuck doesn't? And I'm just like doing this transaction. And he's like, well, where do you normally get it from? And I'm like, oh, wherever it's on sale, that kind of thing. And he's like, hey, what I'm trying to say is I'm trying to share a pizza with you. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, I would share one with Cheryl, but you know, she's a married lady. And I look at him and I'm like, I'm a married lady.
Yeah.
And he like looks shocked and he's like, since when? And I'm like, October will be 5 years. And he's like, oh, well, I don't like to mess
If the
around.
ring
I
on
don't.
your finger didn't give it any clue.
Yeah, sparkle, sparkle, sparkle,
Yeah.
sparkle. But literally, he was like, well, I still like you. He's like, I don't want to mess with any happy marriages or anything. And I'm like, I can't believe you would insult me, ask me on a date,
Yeah.
and then think you could compete with my husband.
Do you know that there are people, there's literally like people who teach men to do that? Like, you have to insult them and then and ask them out and they'll want to go out with you kind of vibe. I'm like,
The exact opposite.
what?
Yeah.
Especially
And
in this day and age.
literally, so his thing is he always gives fist, like we always like fist bump. Cool.
Yeah.
That was fine. I'm like, all right, I gotta go.
Yeah.
And so like fist bump. And then he holds my hand.
Yeah.
And starts giving it squeezes. And he's like, we're still friends. I still like you. I like you.
I wonder what's in his basement.
Literally. And I'm just like, he won't let go of my hand. And I'm like, well, I have a customer at the drive-thru. I've got to go. And I'm just like, have a good day. And I like pull my hand
Yeah.
out in a way. And I just like leave. And my manager comes out and I'm like, did you just hear that? And she's like, oh, he's harmless, blah, blah, blah. Like I felt like it just got dismissed.
He's not harmless.
He's not harmless. Like he literally reached under my barrier to hold my hand.
Yeah.
And wouldn't let me go for like 20 seconds. It may not seem like much, but when I told, like Cheryl just sort of dismissed it, whatever. And I'm like, I'm not going to bring it up. And then when Amber came back from her break, I talked to her the next day about it because I was embarrassed. I was mortified. And then I went home that night and cleaned my house for almost 3 hours because it was that or body
Spiral.
dysmorphia issues, spiral. And I almost didn't tell my husband.
Mhm.
And then I did. And he's like, what's his name? Where the fuck he live? I'm going to
Yeah.
show up. And I'm like, Andrew.
Yeah.
No, I literally, I'm like, if I gave you that information, I'd be fired.
Yeah.
But it was just fucking weird.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're an old man listening to this, pick up on social cues of the young women you're talking to. And why don't you just not hit on young women?
Yeah.
Nobody wants
Mhm.
your old wrinkled wiener anyways.
Nope. Not one bit. I wanted to mention something that we didn't mention in the last one that we should have. It's book club month.
Oh shit. Yes.
Yeah. And we're doing a book. I'm not going to tell you about it because it's fun. And I just want to let you know we're doing book club still. But this is one where you're not going to be a participant if you don't want to be. I mean, obviously,
You're not welcome to this
you're not
one.
welcome to this one because it's a doozy.
It's
so
wait. It's an adventure.
it's an adventure. So yeah. So my husband and I went on a weekend getaway down to Hocking Hills. Never been there. It was nice. There was a hot tub. I took part in the hot tub a lot.
Ugh, soaked out the aches.
Honestly, yeah. Yeah. And we went to town like a couple times. We went to town like once. And we bought games and movies to watch. And that was literally all I needed. Like, I unplugged and it was nice.
And I missed her.
Yeah. To be honest, that was literally, that weekend was right around when we normally take our vacation together. Because something brought up the Winesburg trip we made to Amishville.
We did that in June. Didn't we?
I know, but something, I don't know if it was Airbnb, was like, hey, it's been a year since you went here. Blah, blah, blah,
You
blah.
should probably go again.
Yeah.
I would go back to that little pink house.
I know.
Or, no, that was the cottage.
Yeah, that was the cottage. It was nice. But, that being said, I think I would have more fun in Hocking Hills with, like, my girls than I did with my husband. But when I went with my husband, it was more of a recharge for both of us.
Yeah, it
Than
was just
anything.
to be together, be alone together.
Yeah,
Versus,
But-
like, if you go with the girls, that's to
Yeah.
have fun and party. Like, come on.
literally. Yeah. Like, we would find something to do. Like, not even, like, leaving wise. It would
pack
be so
stuff
much fun.
and bring it.
It would be so much fun
The-
because there's no service,
The only entertainment I need is the hot tub.
right? The only thing is they didn't have a radio and you can't connect to your Spotify or anything. You can't play a song or anything
So
off
you
of your
need
phone.
to download your
So,
music.
Yeah, you need to
first.
download your music or bring a radio, at least to that cabin. Like, they didn't have a radio or anything. Like, there's a landline for you to call people. Like, if you wanted to call and order food and go get it, that's what you used.
That's
Don't
crazy.
use your phone.
That's crazy.
You had no service.
Panic.
It was kind of a lot. It was kind of, I was like, I'm fine, but also not fine. But, like, there were people around that lived around there. So that made me feel better, you know? And they weren't like,
Listen, she's obsessed with serial killers, but doesn't want to meet one.
yes.
In the wild.
Yeah. And on the topic of recharging myself, Cena and I have been doing this challenge and failing. It's a 100-day challenge because it's supposed to end like right around the end of October, because that's supposed to be like, one, we love that time of year, and it's supposed to just make you be in a better state of mind for that time that you want
I
to
think
be in
what
that
we
time.
should do.
I'm literally picking the ones that I like from prior and then clean slate, because today it's a treat yourself day. And I was like, don't worry, we are.
We will. We got plans.
Yeah. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pick and choose from the ones prior, because catching up is just too much work and then I won't do it.
What we should do, though, is I want to write them down. And I've got this beautiful Padfolio, and you have beautiful handwriting.
Okay. Yes, I will.
And we'll go through and we'll just like watch them and write them down.
Okay.
And then since it's written down, we can pick and choose.
Agreed.
And then we'll just keep up on writing it down.
Yeah. And if we want to do an extra one, we can pick from one that we
we've
didn't do
like
already.
previous.
Yeah. So yeah. That's all I'm going to talk about. It's your turn. You pick something if you want.
So, it's been a pretty social last 2 weeks for me.
Yeah.
I kind of like booked myself to the max this weekend,
Uh-huh.
and I do that frequently. I know
Yeah.
I do.
You traveled to the same city 2 days in a row.
I did. So last Saturday, I'll start off, I went and saw my beautiful Alexis.
Yeah.
And we were going to do our murder mystery box.
Yes.
But it was such a beautiful, perfect day. I looked at her and I was like, Alexis, I'm like, do you just want to go lay out in the sun together? And she's like, oh my God. She's like, I was like, do we do this? It's so nice outside.
Sun girl.
To be fair, I had to go into the shade because I still have a moon girl complexion.
Yes. Yes.
But we just laid out there and oh my gosh, because she lives in the middle of BFE.
Yes.
Beautiful old farmhouse.
Hmm.
And we're sitting in her backyard and we've got we're in these lawn chairs and I've got my feet up on one. She's got her feet up on the other. And above my head is 2 hummingbird feeders. Nicole, they just flew over my head back
Yeah.
and forth. They would go over, sit on the bush next to us. I literally spent my whole day with hummingbirds and
Yeah.
I was tickled pink.
Yeah.
quite literally. I was like, ugh. And I couldn't stop telling Alexis, I'm like, the hummingbirds, I love them.
Yeah.
And she's like, they get mad if we don't refill these. They'll like swoop over their heads and like flutter their wings on their hair
Yeah.
and like come at them and do it until they fill them.
Speaking of hummingbirds, I've been focused on our tattoo lately.
Bridget and I also want to get tattoos now. I'm like,
Yes.
fuck.
It's okay. Tattoos are life.
They are.
My sister wanted to get a tattoo while we were on vacation.
Your sister?
Yeah, she's down for a tattoo.
I love it. Good
She
job,
wants to
Lindsay.
come to my first tattoo appointment no matter what.
No matter what.
Yep.
Love it. So I've kind of been thinking, we were talking about like those personalized tarot cards for our tattoos.
Yeah.
I want to do that like St. Michael thing on
Yeah.
this thigh. I'm kind of thinking about doing our tattoo on my other thigh.
Yeah.
And then just like having those.
Down.
And then I'm like, so every once in a while I'm like, my legs are my best feature. Should I mark them up? And I'm like, girl, you got all kinds of scars anyways. Who give a shit?
Mm-hmm.
It's just my flesh house.
Yep. That's all it is, baby.
Listen, I didn't get to see her last weekend, and I am just absorbing your presence.
Yeah,
right now.
we've gotten to see each other twice in the last few days.
Yes.
So it's literally everything.
Well, no, it's okay. So yeah, we saw each other, but we
Yeah.
weren't alone together on
Agreed.
Friday, and
Not even for the car ride.
not even for any part of the car
Yeah.
ride. Not salty. That's not a saltiness thing.
That isn't. We were just stating facts.
We knew we would have Sunday morning together, like we always do.
Yes.
So, but then, along the lines, I went and saw Alexis, and then this Friday we got an invite to go see Emily and the
Ugh.
baby.
Sweet Victor.
Oh my gosh, he is
Literally.
so sweet.
I love him.
I love how you were like, I had been dealing with him. I had been like walking around with
Yeah.
him, whatever. I got him up like
I held him
Watching-
first, and then
the passings.
Therese did,
Then
or
Sophia-
Sophia did, and then Therese did, then Cena had him. So we
For a while.
yeah. So we all just chilled after that. And go ahead.
Oh, and then
Yes.
I was like, all right, well, I was helping them with food stuff, and I'm like, take the baby. I give him to Nicole, and she just puts him in the football position, and
Because
he's
he was like fussy, and he like knocked out, like eyes rolled in the back of his head. I'm like, good night, child.
yes.
All children fall asleep on me.
Yeah. Yeah, well,
It's
You're
my
like-
boobs.
yes. I was going to say, you're the most, like, motherly mother.
Yeah.
Like, they have statues to women you would have been worshipped in ancient times.
Yes.
As, like, the mother.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I feel you. Yeah.
You are exactly everything a mother should be.
Yeah. And of course, the other child, Blue.
Ugh,
Sweet baby
Blue.
angel. Hunk of meat.
Blue is the dog.
Yes.
But, he's like 100 pounds.
He is. He's got like a massive body and the head of a pit bull.
Yes. And he just like laid on the couch on his side next to the baby. I am so
Oh, yeah.
wonderful seeing how good he is with the
He is
baby.
very good.
They just both napped on the couch, and I'm like,
This is
Love
something I
it.
didn't put in there. I'm so surprised in a good way with how Emily and Matt are as parents. Like, so proud.
agreed.
Because when we found out that they were pregnant, I was like, really? Like, I just never imagined Matt even.
Wanting a baby.
Yeah. And he is literally, he's got a dad vibe. Like,
He does.
and he's so good. Like, Victor tracked him as he
Yes.
walked by, and that literally, I'm like, oh my gosh, they're such good parents.
That baby is so
And then
loved.
Sophia with the baby,
Ugh.
I'm like, oh my gosh, I have mom friends.
Yeah. Yeah. That is the great.
Yes.
Literally, when, it's like when we got there. And, Emily, I was talking to Andrew about this and I don't know how to phrase it.
Mhm.
Emily's just trying to be just Emily. You could tell she wasn't trying to be like, oh, well, here's the baby, blah, blah, blah. And I looked at her and I'm like, well, you got a nursery? And she's like, yeah. And then she almost shyly was like, do you want to see it? And I'm like, yes,
Of course.
I want I literally want my mom
think
friends to
yes.
show me everything. I'm never going to love you less.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
It did. Becoming a mother, we went through
Yes.
this. I'm supporting that stage of your life.
Yeah.
Like, I want to know
Just
all
because
about
you're not
it.
at that stage doesn't mean.
Yeah. And I'm like, tell me all about it. Show me the stuff you're excited about, you're proud of.
Yeah.
And literally her little nursery was with the monster head stuffed up over
Oh my
the
God.
bed.
I literally, and it was like the pictures of the swamp monster and everything.
Mothman and
I literally was
everything.
like, this is exactly what I was hoping your nursery would be like.
Right? If it wasn't that, I was assuming the whole thing would have been Beetlejuice.
Yes, there was a Beetlejuice Funko Pop in there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. She's a Beetlejuice girl.
Yeah.
But I think it just like sort of made her relax in a way. Be like, all right, show us all the cool stuff.
Yes.
Show us that stuff. It is exciting. Show us the outfits you just bought.
Yeah.
Like, Emily, share this with us.
Yeah.
It's okay. You're still
It's
Emily.
like I have friends who have kids that literally we just dote upon our kids all the time that we're with each other, whatever. I literally just send pictures of my children to Cena, no matter the time of day or anything, with no
caption.
context.
Yeah.
It's just a picture, and she loves that.
I do. I just want to see the pictures.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I respond, other times I just look at them and I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
And that's all I need.
Because,
I
well,
just
for
wanna
one,
see 'em.
Cena just likes to have pictures to look at.
I do.
Too.
I
So
do.
That
I'm a picture
is
hoe.
that is a thing for her.
I think it's an object permanence thing.
Yeah, probably.
I'm like, wow, I have pictures, so we did love each other. We did exist. If that makes sense.
Yes.
It's like the whole thing with Faye when she was up, or excuse me, when they were up last summer.
Yeah.
And then that picture came up, and
Yeah.
then my sweet, precious baby angel, Faye, was on my Facebook page. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
We were all there together in my room. And I remember when Faye walked in there and she saw her, they saw their picture on
Yeah.
the wall
Yes.
and how much that meant to them.
Yes.
And I'm like, it was so special.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, you don't even know what it means to me.
Yes.
Like, your picture's there because of what you mean to me.
Mm-hmm.
And because Daddy put it up. And
Yeah.
Daddy put
Daddy
up the
chose
people
that
I
picture.
love.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm a picture girl.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to talk about work now.
Do it.
Work has just been a lot lately. Okay. It's dwindling down to the end of summer, which summer is our busy season for everything. But this week was the first week of the month.
Someone that works in finance.
Yeah.
I feel that.
It was just agents were in a mood, which made us as CSRs in a mood as well. Like, there were people who were giving off way negative energy, and it was just feeding on to me. So then I was in that mood, and it was just, I didn't want to be in that mood. Like, I didn't have a problem with last week. The only thing was the rude agents that were calling in and basically like, we are the ant people who do your job for you. Like, hightail it out of here. But like, it was just, I don't know, just be nice to your CSRs.
Just be nice.
They literally control when things get done for you. So,
I'm just putting that out there.
But my friend Brittany from work, I've talked about her before. We kind of work as a team together. Like, we have a system where agents send in changes via email, or they can do the changes themselves, but they have to send them in to us for us to check to make sure they did everything right. And we just say, okay, it's good. Issue it, whatever. And we just kind of help each other with that because we have certain letters of last names. Like, she has L and I have O and D. So I watch her letters.
When I hear OD, I'm like, overdraft list?
I know.
Like, that's what I deal with on a daily.
Yeah. So like, we kind of keep up on each other. Like, if she's having a busy day, I'll work some of her letters just so they don't get built up, kind of thing. So it's the end of day. She had to run in and talk to our boss about something, and I'm just packed up, ready to go. I'm waiting for her, and like none of her stuff is packed up. So I was like, and her computer's still on. I'm like, I'm going to shut down her computer, just because then it's easier for her to just pack up and go.
Because you guys walk out together.
Yes, we walk out together just so we can have private complaining time before we get in our vehicles.
Decompress.
Yes. And I just turned it off. And I'm waiting there. She came back. She's like, well, at least I turned my computer off. I'm like, no, I did that because I knew you were going to be talking for a while. She's like, you know what? I am just going to tell you, I love you all the time. I'm like, okay. Like, normally she just
Please
tells
do.
me, you're amazing. Like, I don't deserve you. I appreciate you. Like, when I do stuff for her. Because let's just say I get things done a lot quicker, so I go in and I help her do things. Okay? That's just what happens. I am just an efficient person when it comes to things. And I'm like, okay. She's like, no. Like, when we talk on the phone, I'm going to say I love you when I hang up. You are literally the only person I don't do that with, and I just don't want you to think I'm crazy. I'm like, no, girl. I'm okay with platonic relationships.
Absolutely.
Like,
Absolutely.
I don't think you understand. I have chosen you as one of mine. So,
Accept my love.
yeah. And I'm like, it's totally fine. She's like, I just don't want you to think I'm crazy. I'm like, girl, I think you're crazy on another level. That is not crazy to me. Okay, it's fine. She's
At
like,
least
I
you're
just
honest.
felt weird. She's like, what do you mean I'm crazy on another level? I'm like, you already know. She's like, yeah, I know. I'm like, it's fine.
Me too, Brittany.
We're working
Me
on
too.
it. We are working on it. Okay.
No is a whole sentence.
No, full stop.
Yes.
But yeah, just I used to never be able to accept love from others, like compliments and things, and I am not there yet, but I'm getting there at just accepting it, because now she'll tell me, she's like, you're amazing, or you're great. Like, she'll just say those things to me, and I'm like, I know. And we just accept that I took that compliment that way, and that's that. You know? I didn't
Mhm.
sound conceited to her. It's just I have to accept it that way, and she knows that. Let's see. What else?
I think is all my notes. Did I say
I
anything
think
about my
you
notes?
said all of your notes.
Oh, I also saw Bridget last night too, and her
Yeah.
husband. So that was my second trip up to the city.
Yeah. Yeah. And then today is recording in D&D. So
Yeah, and I will be super honest. I'm hungover. So.
Yeah. This is a statement of fact, if you will. I hate summer and I'm ready for spooky season.
Mic drop.
That is all. Oh, okay. I had a moment this last week. Titus had a library thing. It was called Ready Set Kindergarten. Like, they went there, they read a book, they did a little craft thing. It's whatever, okay? And I'm sitting around all the moms that I know because of preschool and stuff. And I literally could not get comfortable at all in myself as a person, in my thoughts. I was just literally full. It's when I texted you.
Yeah.
And I was fully anxious the whole time because there were like these moms that came in looking flawless whether they tried or not. And here I am. I literally threw my hair up after washing it that morning. I'm in I'm in my Beetlejuice dark room shirt with these black shorts and just not conversating with anyone. I'm just enjoying the quiet. And these other moms are just like talking. And it's like moms that their kids are like really like Titus and talking and hanging out with Titus, but they won't approach me and talk to me because we're so different. Like the one mom, her child and my child have been friends since 2. So 3 years.
Is it the babysitter?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Mhm. And she grew up being the cheerleader and married the quarterback. Okay. And now they're both teachers.
Small town.
Yeah. Now they're both teachers in the school. Well, it was different schools. She was in a school down the highway.
Okay.
And he was in Orville. So it was just weird, I guess, to me. But now they're both teachers and they're both really friendly. Her husband, more than anything, he is a people person, is nice to anyone. Okay. They're like, she's a 3rd grade teacher, I think, and he's a 4th grade teacher. So, like, it's whatever. But, like, I feel like if I even tried to have a conversation with her, it's just, I think we have tried, it's just never worked out, you know? And I just was like, I am just don't know how I'm going to do with this mom thing. Like, it went to, like, will I be a participant in volunteering for things that parents volunteer about or for? I'm like, I will be the mom that sends snacks in, homemade snacks, and I'll do that. But I'm not the one to volunteer and do things for, like, PTO. That's not me. I have so much on my plate already that it's just not me. I'm not doing that. I'm taking care of me, not you people.
Yes. Can't pour from an empty cup.
Literally, like, I will send you money for the thing. I will send in I'll send in cookies for a bake sale, but I will not be there to sell it.
It's just not happening.
It is not happening at all. And, like, along with that, I've just been having terrible brain thoughts that I'll tell you more about in the car when we go get bevies and things. But it's really bad, and I want to change the things about myself. It's just making the multiple doctor's appointments to do that. So, I get on you about finding a therapist. I need you to get on me about making these appointments because I won't.
Okay.
But then I'll be glad once I do. It's just the
doing it,
getting myself out of the anxiety to call the person and do that. So
can't I just schedule online?
I know. Can you do that?
It depends. It depends.
Okay. I know you can do that for the Cleveland Clinic. That's really nice. Because I do that for the boys sometimes. But okay. And, you know, that's it. That's all I want to talk about. That's just how we're going to end it on a bad note, apparently.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Just to follow that up, I totally understand because I had my yearly appointment and I forgot all about this. And it went terrible because it wasn't my normal doctor. And when the doctor left the room for me to change, I literally silently sobbed as I took my clothes off and put on this little robe. And I felt so violated. And I'm like,
yeah.
And you know, they do the scraping and then they fucking finger you and feel everything. And it just,
sometimes poke thing. Yeah.
I felt so violated. I'm like, can you just be Dr. Mark Anthony? I'm like, she can touch my vagina all day and not in a weird way and it wouldn't bother me. You know?
Yes.
I'm like, but I just
that's who Brittany has an appointment with. For,
Dr. Mark Anthony.
For her, just everything.
Yeah. Dr. Mark Anthony is quite literally an angel that walks on earth. But yeah, I've been kind of gun shy about appointments right now or anything because of that.
Yeah.
And so when you said you got to help me book, I'm like,
it sucks because this is how we like knew that we were wives. I forced her to make an appointment while I was making an appointment for my gynecologist, and we got the same person. So,
and never switched.
Never. Well, we did at first because she was somewhere else, and they were like, "Oh, you're gonna have this person this time." At least for me, that's how it was.
Yeah.
But then she moved, and now we perma have her.
Yeah, and
unless an emergency,
like me, because I had to have. Well, for me, I had to have my prescriptions filled, and there was no opening.
Yeah,
and that was my bad. I forget how far in advance she books out.
Yes, like I'm gonna.
I booked my next year's appointment already.
Yeah, Yep.
And I felt awful because I literally walked out and I was very quiet. And, it's the same girls that work there and they know what doctor I was seeing, or excuse me, the nurse practitioner. And I walked up and I said, I need to book my next appointment with Dr. Mark Anthony for next year.
Yeah.
I was very quietly, very lowly. And I think she knew I just wasn't okay. And she's like,
That's because that person that you had, I had one during, it was one of my monthly checkups when I was pregnant. She's just very emotionless.
Yeah, too clinical.
Very clinical. More than me.
Yeah.
There is no emotion there. So.
But we're not ending. We're moving on to hyperfixations.
Heck yeah, we are.
Let's get some
oh my
good
gosh.
juju.
Let's talk about, I've wanted to talk about these things literally the whole time. Okay. I'm going to start with, I've been obsessed. Okay, I've never tried them before. I've heard about them, just never tried them, ate whatever I was given. Clausen's pickles. Okay.
I don't know if I've had those.
Probably, I don't know. They have all their flavor bits in the jar still.
Oh, I love that.
Not just juice. And it's so good. See, now I literally bought 2 jars of the Spears yesterday. And I was eating them as soon as I got them. Could eat the whole jar. So definitely fixation level. I want to do, we both have music this week. And I want to do that together.
Okay.
Ish. So
I see you have more food stuff if you want to talk about that.
yeah, okay. BLTs.
I love BLTs.
Literally, I have never been a BLT person because of the tea. Okay. And we all know I like to eat my bacon as bacon. All the crazy bacon things that have happened and fads and everything I have not been a part of because bacon is bacon and should just be eaten as bacon.
Tell us how you really feel.
But BLTs have just been hitting different. I took stuff on my weekend getaway to make them, and it was just the best decision I made.
I love them. I also like putting a slice of cheese on it.
Oh, I put provolone on it.
Okay, good. I was like,
definitely.
I'm a dairy whore.
Yeah. If it's a sandwich, it will have cheese.
It will have cheese.
Literally, I don't know of any sandwich that I would have other than
peanut butter
and jelly that I wouldn't have cheese on.
You know what? Peanut butter, cheese, and pickles is not a bad sandwich either.
Okay. Okay. Pickles and peanut butter.
It's not bad.
No, it's bad in my brain. I'm not going to try it right now. It's not okay for me to try that right now.
You know what?
Because I'm too obsessed with these pickles.
I didn't do it with dill pickles though.
What'd you do it with? Bread and butter?
Bread and butter.
Oh dear God. I sent you a TikTok about my feelings this
I
week.
know you did. I felt attacked.
I was like, this is literally it. He was holding a jar of Clausen's pickles too. And just cooking real meals. Getting back into that. That's all I've wanted. Just the meat, the veg, and the carb. That is what my meals have been, and that's all I've ever wanted. Welcome back, old friend. Go into your food.
So, you made hummus a couple weeks, probably a month ago.
It was when I went on my big vacation.
And it was so garlicky.
Yeah.
And so delicious that I have been eating hummus since, and nothing compares.
I'll make it for next week.
And I quite literally daydream about it. So,
I will make it for next week, and then I can bring your dogs their treats I forgot again. I'm a terrible aunt.
I can't believe it. You know what? I didn't even bring them down because they've been so disappointed in you.
Or just because you like the silence.
I do like the silence.
Is that your only food?
That's my only food.
Let's go to songs because we have one in common.
So, okay. Elephant in the room with this.
Yeah.
Nicole and I have both fallen in love.
We both were listening to it constantly the same day and didn't know it.
Yeah, we were waiting for the
Friday.
song to drop on Spotify.
Yeah.
We never talked about it beforehand.
Nope.
And the song is Sad Cowboys and Rock and Roll by Van Andrew.
Mm-hmm.
I just, nothing else does it
It's
for
just
me
so
right
good.
now.
It's like a Western, but not like a hippie.
It's like the Lumineers became cowboys.
Yeah,
It's
I agree with that.
It's got like the na, 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 na,
Yeah.
like ness, and then also like the whiny "I love you."
Yeah,
It's just,
that's just it.
it's everything. If I could roll it and smoke it, I would.
Yes. I have a list of songs that I've just been playing through, and then once I'm done with that list, I go right back up to the top. One Number Away by Luke Combs. Fingers Crossed by Lauren Spencer Smith. Geraldine by Miranda Lambert. Baby Y by Sarah Cawthron. And Anything by Kane Brown.
He got that voice.
Yeah. We listened to only Kane Brown on the way up to the weekend getaway, and I was like, I fell asleep and woke up. I was like, oh, you can turn the music. He's like, no, it's fine. I'm like, thank God.
I didn't mean it.
And then my last fixation is a game that isn't totally a fixation yet. It's a obsession, I want to get it game, Uncharted 4.
Uncharted 4. Okay, I
Yes.
was like, I have
'Cause
some
I
of
believe-
the Uncharted games.
Yeah, I believe I can get it for my Switch. So,
Ooh, yeah.
yeah.
And so my game, because I've been gaming again.
Uh-huh.
Well, first of all, I was off of The Sims for a while, and I'm back on because they came out with a werewolf pack. And so now I have vampires and werewolves and mermaids and witches.
Can you make my family?
Yes, I will make
Because
you.
Silas is definitely is more of a zombie. Do they have zombies?
They don't have zombies.
He's more like Frankenstein-ish, but he can be whatever you think he should be.
I'm
But
gonna
Silas
I'm
is a
gonna work
werewolf.
on it, and then I'll send you pictures.
I'm down.
And I'll make sure you get in a goth mansion.
Oh, thank you.
Because obviously I'll use the money cheat.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you.
But the other game is I've definitely been playing Ark again, which is
Uh-huh.
my dinosaur game. I've
Yeah.
talked about it before. We go in phases. But one of Andrew's friends, who is a streamer, and he streams on berated.tv on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's hosting a server. So it's a private server. Just us can get in, everything like that. And then, like, some of his friends and followers.
Yeah, whoever he chooses.
And they have way more time. So I just get to go in. I definitely just take everything I want from their bases.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I don't want to go harvest this and do the work. And I literally just go and find dinosaur eggs in the wild.
Yeah.
Because certain dinosaurs will leave fertilized ones out there.
Uh-huh.
So they have to be fertilized.
Yes.
I'll take them back. And they're all purists. They're like, oh, I need the 150. And I'm like, ooh, that's pretty. Ooh,
Oh,
that's
the guy
pretty.
that deleted your egg.
Deleted my egg.
Yeah.
But to be fair, they gave me higher level stuff. So
Still.
I was like, that's my egg.
Still mine.
But they
Don't touch my
don't
stuff.
touch my stuff. Which I'm leaving in your egg
Yes.
because I don't want to build it.
Yes.
And just like every time we get on, they're like, oh, or like I get on and then Andrew plays it too. Berated will just be like, well, we've got these. And I'm like, I'll take whatever you give me.
Literally, yeah.
And apparently, so there's like a Giga, which is like the biggest T-Rex on that. And they're really, really high level. And they've been like breeding all of these like burner animals because we kill them all the time. And we're going to take all of these dinosaurs, set them on aggressive, and send them at the Giga and see who lives and who dies.
Oh my gosh. I love that.
So it's like a battle royale kind of thing. And then we're going to like sit on our birds and just watch like war generals.
Oh my gosh. It's like cockfighting.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, birds are related to T-Rexes.
Yeah, they are.
Chickens.
I mean, there has been a thing the last year that dinosaurs had feathers, so.
Right? Right.
Yep.
But that's all I'm going to say about that. Those are all my hyperfixations. Other than Dungeons and Dragons. But I have
Always.
another podcast for that.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode.
This week's show was recorded by yours truly in our studio in Ohio.
Our show is edited, mixed, and published by the team at Lead Up Studios, and our executive producer is Dustin,
AKA Daddy.
You've been listening to the Wife Wednesday podcast.
Until next time,
Bye.
You've been listening to the Wife Wednesday Radio Network. Wife Wednesday is produced by Lead Up Studios in St. Louis, Missouri. Sound mastering and final production is handled by me, Dustin. Be sure to find, like, and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and don't forget to share the show with your friends. New episodes from the Wife Wednesday Radio Network drop every Wednesday on all major podcast platforms in the U.S. and abroad. To contact the show directly, please email us at info@wifewednesdaypod.com. Thanks for listening.